Hi, I'm Sonia Feinstein. Today I will be presenting my proposal for interiority and hyperdense living sited at the former Pearl Bank apartment building in Singapore. I'll present my proposal in 4 sections: perceptions, probes, projections, and the final triptych. New methods of spacemaking will define the experience of dense cities. In the near future, architects will be tasked with adapting and altering existing structures to suit the spatial needs of its hyperdense population. The site is Pearl Bank, a now demolished modernist apartment building. Pearl Bank is an excellent test site for examining interiority, as it was a building that called for redevelopment but ultimately went unconserved despite its iconic status. Buildings like Pearl Bank will be the likely subjects of future alterations towards higher interiority. Pressurization, thickness, mysteriousness, centripetality, involution, and concavity are qualities we can use to define interiority and identify it in spaces. Using the most dense urban area in New York City, the High Line, as a test case, I examined these qualities of interiority. In the first image, you can see pressurization, centripetality, and involution. In the next, thickness and involution. In the third, pressurization and mysteriousness. And in the last, pressurization, mysteriousness, and concavity. My alteration to Pearl Bank will examine using pressure, involution, and concavity. In Section 2, I will analyze Pearl Bank for its latent qualities and probe sampled images from the photographer Peter Stewart. Pearl Bank's open cylinder floor plate is comprised of a set of bays separated by shear walls. The 2 cores split the building into 3 sections and break the rhythm of the shear walls. On the interface, parasitic stairs connect open-air corridors. These barnacles create a pressurized grid inside the cylinder. These circulatory assets reveal latent space objects. My project will heighten the pressurized interior face and split the building into 3 by involuting the 2 cores. Peter Stewart's vibrant photographs have distinct textural and light qualities that emphasize the mass scale of his subjects. His images also use these techniques to create pressure and tension. Representation is key in defining interiority. Using techniques pulled from examining Stewart's photos, I will emulate the high contrast, color intensity, and warped geometries he uses to emphasize the space object. In Section 3, I will use 3 photos by Peter Stewart to examine my proposal. Each photo corresponds to key areas of my space object. In the first image, rather than a flat elevation of this facade, the photo's geometry is warped. The multiple vanishing points create a tension in the image that highlights the dynamic facade. The image is also about 80% in shadow or dark tones. This bumps the visibility of the highlighted areas and drops the rest of the image back to create higher contrast. Stewart's use of color is vibrant but understated, reserving the large pops of color for small portions of the image with a large impact. The next image takes a vantage point similar to my aerial image. The perspective of the image is compressed, making the central void highly pressurized. Again, Stewart's high contrast of light and dark highlight key areas of the image and drop the rest into darker tones. The color in this image corresponds directly to lighting, emphasizing the long shadows and luminous windows. In the final image, Stewart highlights and elongates the center strip of the image by warping the geometry to create an extreme perspective. Again, a largely shadowy image, the highlighted areas are reserved for high contrast moments. The color here is slightly muted, and the tension and tone heightens the pressure in the space. In Section 4, I will present the final triptych. The alterations I propose highlight latent space objects of Pearl Bank. The involuted cores widen to create stepped balconies on the exterior, and wrap to the inside face to create concave balconies that register the rhythm of the stair projections. These images carry your eye from the base of the detail image up and down across the distant view and into the core of the aerial view. Each image's focal point is a triangular form highlighting areas of interiority. The left shows the involuted core and the way the facade highlights the change in pressure. The center shows the widening of the space object towards its outer face, and the right highlights the concavity of the inner face's balconies and draws your eye down the core. Each image shows a different vantage point of the space object. The 2 on the right give a distant and aerial perspective, while the left places you inside the space. This detail allows you to see the smallest scale of pressurization that happens in the first few feet of the inner facade. The second shows the release in pressure of the space object from the inner core, and the last gives a sense of the overall. The space object works on a variety of scales, the largest being the central core, punctuated by the smaller scale stairwells. The major areas of the space object are the concave areas of the inner face, which push the pressure inward. This creates a high contrast with the involuted cores, as the space object is depressurized as it moves from the inner to the outer face. Thank you.